back to the Whatnauts Reactor Core. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How's your weekend, Kyle?
My weekend has been pretty good. Been playing some video games, working on some podcast stuff. It's been good, but I'm tired. I'm like,
yeah.
I just want to sleep. But I am doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Just trying to recoup energy before the work week ahead.
There you go. Good stuff. Well, this week, this time on the Reactor Core, we are here to talk about Peacemaker, the brand new DC Comics based show out on HBO Max, which is a spin-off of the Suicide Squad movie that recently came out. I'm super excited to talk about this. I have been like chomping at the bit, like, someone please talk about this with me. It's so good. And Melissa, you started it late, but you caught up just in time to catch the finale and then be here on the recording.
I don't know if I started it late. I think I started it like within the first week it was on.
Well, yeah, it was within the first like a week or two, but I had seen like because they released the first three like all right at the same time, and I know the first time we kind of convened about it, I was like, I had seen the first three, and you were like, well, I've seen the first one, so
yeah.
But yeah, it's good. I'm happy to be here and talk about Peacemaker. So I think first things first, let me just get like a 2-sentence, that might be too short, but just like real brief, like what did you think of the Suicide Squad, the movie?
I thought the Suicide Squad was very fun, very stylish. I did find Peacemaker intriguing. I liked that he was a character who had a code. He had a goal. More so than the other members of the squad who were just doing this because they were ordered to, because they were trying to survive. He does have sort of a very limited, very twisted vision of what peace is, but the fact that he's like, I want peace as a general concept to exist, and I'm going to do anything it takes to achieve that, I thought was an interesting character dynamic to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I knew with James Gunn writing and directing it would have been a blast. There were more blasts than I expected in that one. It was a little more gory and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. I had a lot of fun watching that. I think that's up there with one of the best DC movies.
Yeah.
And then, they were making this show, but I was iffy. I was hesitant. I was like, I don't like Peacemaker as a character. You're right. He does have a code that does make him a little bit more interesting than some of the other characters because of that. But he just didn't seem like a good guy. He was just like, I don't know. It was like, man, they're making a whole show based on him. Like, you have a lot of work to make me like want to watch this. And this show nailed it. The show knocked it out of the park, which I was not expecting at all. I really, really enjoyed this show. I think this is one of, if not the best thing that DC has made recently. I think this is better than the Suicide Squad, but I guess that's that's a weird comparison there because it's a spin-off of the same thing. But I think this is better than any of the Marvel TV shows we've gotten.
It certainly feels a lot more cohesive.
It's more cohesive. It's more complete. It doesn't feel like much was left on the cutting room floor or got pushed around because of COVID, or like there were a number of Marvel shows that were both really, really good in terms of their concept and the acting and stuff like that. But there's bits of them that just feel incomplete. Like something has happened. Something was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And this does not have that feeling at all. So I'm excited. What did you think about the show?
I had a lot of fun. I've enjoyed James Gunn's work a lot on the Guardians of the Galaxy films. They're personal favorites. They mean a lot to me. I like that he's from St. Louis. He's a hometown boy. I admire that about him. Yeah, they'll put in a little Easter egg now and then. I'm very happy that Peter Quill's also from Missouri. I've never had another hero from Missouri I could look up to. In the Suicide Squad, and in this show, like in the first episode, they go to that restaurant and they mention it's on Manchester Road, which is that could be anywhere, but that is a major road running through St. Louis that I think went by the area of town he would have grown up in. Like, hey,
that's awesome.
That's our Manchester.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's
yeah, I got a lot out of the show emotionally. I think it's way more sincere and thoughtful and surprisingly warm and emotional than I would have expected.
Yeah.
This is something that James Gunn doesn't have a pattern of. Guardians of the Galaxy films, they're very irreverent, but they are also very touching. And that's what I got out of this show also. If you also found Peacemaker to be not a great guy, but an intriguing character, the show's got plenty for you. If you didn't like Peacemaker, I think the show also has plenty for you. It really interrogates why he is who he is, what bad things he's done, what good qualities there are about him. Even if he's got this very limited view of good and evil, he's at least a character who's always honest. He's never really lying about anything. You could look up to him for that, at least. He's not going to double cross you. To have a show that looked at this character in context of what was his upbringing, what were his surroundings, how does he feel about them, when you put him in new surroundings with new people, how do they affect him, how does he affect them, how does he grow, how does he change, how does he break away from that. I think it was a good journey to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is one thing that I'm aware of James Gunn's work outside of the comic book stuff. I haven't seen much of it. I've seen bits and pieces of Slither, but not much. And I know he has a background in trauma and this kind of cinema that is kind of there for shock value, right? And I think it was really neat to see some of that return in this show. Just this really bloody, really gory kind of, oh my God, they actually did that and showed it. And it was neat and interesting and fun, right? But it has this shock value to it. And I think it'd be really easy for people who like that kind of, or not like, but people who make that kind of cinema and those kinds of movies and shows to not really do anything else outside of that. To have their whole show be shock value. Oh my God, we chopped this guy's head in half and it exploded and there's blood everywhere and there's this and that. But like you said, there is this side to James Gunn's work that is very sincere, very emotional, has very strong character work, and the bonds that characters you might not expect to create one have. And I think that's a strength of his work in general, but especially in this show. Because I thought they had a lot of work to do to kind of redeem this character. And I say that word hesitantly because they don't really redeem this character, but they do make it a much more enjoyable show. He's oddly charming. You do want to follow him in his adventures to see the stupid stuff that he does. But they make you care about him too, which I was not expecting at all. So good on them. I enjoyed this show a lot. I thought it was fantastic. So good stuff. Well, now that we have kind of spoiler-free stuff out of the way, I think we will take a quick break for housekeeping. And then when we come back, we will dive into spoilers. stuff like that. So we will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters, especially those at the $5 tier. So thank you to Sam for supporting us for so long. We love you. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you. Cool things that we have been up to here at the Whatnauts. Melissa, you and I just recorded a podcast on the podcast Brimstone Valley Mall. It is an audio drama, a comedy set in the 90s, the late 90s, about a bunch of demons that work at a mall and have to find one of their missing band members before they play the Y2K party. And that was a blast. That was good fun.
It's very fun.
It was indeed. On the video game front, we have been playing Horizon Forbidden West, which just came out this past week. So go check out Crossplay if you want to hear some of our initial thoughts on that. And then on the Captain's Log, our weekly off-topic show, Melissa, you showed me a building here in Richmond that I didn't know existed, but I feel like I should have.
Right.
Which is a weird way to put that, but yeah, you have an interest in retail spaces and buildings and stuff like that, and you showed me this one that I feel like as an art student I should have known about this, and it was there, but it was a good building, one of the best, you might say.
We also talked a lot about the new trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. If you're into comic books, you're into Marvel, and we speculated about what characters might show up in that movie.
Yeah, absolutely did. Speaking of that, we did a trailer reaction to that new Doctor Strange trailer as well. That's on our YouTube channel for here on the Reactor Core. And we also did one for Jordan Peele's Nope.
Oh,
so
yes.
We have that up as well. Trailer reactions are always fun to do.
The Nope trailer was very good. It's just been overshadowed in my mind by everything in the Multiverse of Madness trailer.
Yeah. There you go. I think that's about it for housekeeping. So let's get on to spoilers. Let me hit the button here. Bam! Spoilers. Here we are. Where do you want to start with this? I guess we kind of do our broad stroke play-by-play of this one. So I guess we can kind of start with that here. Yeah,
I think when we left Peacemaker at the end of the Suicide Squad, he killed Rick Flag. It seemed like he felt bad about that. Like that was a move that he regretted. And he did it with the hopes of stopping that information about Starro getting out to the people. Because in his mind, this would disturb the peace. This is a giant wild space alien that it would maybe hurt people to know about and hurt them to know that that was being kept a secret from them. Like, let's just keeping the secret. That seems easier for everybody.
Yeah.
He kills Rick Flag. He's injured. He's put in the hospital. And the show opens with him being healed, getting out of the hospital, and being placed with a new sub-team of Task Force X. It's John Economos and Amelia Harcourt, who you remember from the Suicide Squad. They've got a leader named Myrn, and they've got Leota Adebayo, who is Amanda Waller's daughter, who Amanda Waller put her specifically. Yeah, it's put her specifically on this mission. This is not what she does. She's gotten that sort of training, but she has not worked in this field. And Amanda Waller needed somebody on the inside, sent in her daughter, and she's keeping this a secret. No, I'm not related to Amanda Waller. Don't know her. Who's that? I'm just here as like another tech person. Yeah. Leota, also named after James Gunn's mom.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's my grandma's name, and like you never run into other Leotas. It's a very rare name.
Interesting. Okay. Learn something new every day. Yeah, so he gets put on that team, and they're kind of like, yeah, you helped us out with Starro in the movie, but look, you've barely put a dent into your sentence here. So you're still technically ours to do with what you want. So he's now helping him out with this thing called Project Butterfly. And they happen to meet at this restaurant in town to kind of discuss it and bring him on board. They eventually get their own hiding place. But this is kind of the setup of the show. They are out to find these things called butterflies. And Myrn, who kind of leads the team, is being real cagey about what that is exactly. Like a you'll know it when you see it kind of thing. I'm not at liberty to say exactly what it is. And we find out it's aliens. Ah!
Yeah.
Alien invasion is happening. They are these like butterfly-looking aliens are coming to Earth. They're infiltrating people, and they will like go in their mouth and like live in their brain and control them, and stuff like that. So it's their job to find them and kill them and get them out, protect people, make sure this secret does not get out. So yeah, I like the setup a lot. I think it's pretty standard, pretty simple, right? Of just like, hey, we have a mission, we have some people to kill, let's go kill them. And yes, if they kill the host body, if they kill the human, the alien cannot survive, so it will escape. They can kill it then that way. Or if they shoot these people in the head, like in the skull where this thing is occupying it, it'll just do it all in one fell swoop. Man, I like the team that they have set up. So this team is kind of the one that rebelled against Amanda Waller, which is why she's mostly out of the picture there and don't trust her, and why she doesn't trust them and sends her daughter to be on the team. But man, Adebayo is, I think, one of the shining stars of this show. With her being a bigger black girl, I think she very immediately in people's minds is, oh, she's like not cut out for this. She's not supposed to be here. And that is kind of a running theme here in this show of people not really looking to her as a capable person. Or not that, but just not capable in this specific setting.
She doesn't think, and she has been through, like, her mom put her through training, but she did not choose this life. She mentions that she had to take this job that her mom gave her because she lost her other job, and we learned she was working at a dog shelter in Gotham City that lost its nonprofit funding. So, like, she knows everything in theory, but this is not her life in practice. And she struggles a lot with the violence and the secrets and the treachery that comes with this job.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems to have a pretty strained relationship with her
Mm.
mom of just like, no, you're not gonna force me into doing this stuff I don't want to do. I don't think it's right. Like it
Hmm.
seems like it's that kind of thing. So she was like, I'm gonna go do something that I want to go do and work with animals and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that's her, but she is very capable. She's strong. Um,
Yeah.
I think is she's interesting to me because I think in a weird way she kind of not mimics but mirrors Peacemaker, that she is
Yeah.
also someone who will speak her mind and is very honest with things. Maybe not right away, but will usually do things like that very quickly and just say what she thinks or what she thinks she needs to say,
Hmm.
and is like, that's what I believe. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
move from that spot. And I liked that she is this kind of same but different thing to
Hmm.
Peacemaker there. I thought that was fascinating. Because
Yeah.
by the
There's a
end of the
lot
show,
of,
they do have a connection between the two
yeah.
of them.
She is the second lead of the show, I'd say, after Peacemaker himself, and they become
Yeah,
very close friends by the end of the show. After Eagly, his pet eagle, he says she is his next best friend.
absolutely. Don't tell
Yeah, and
Vigilante
she
that.
right, and she does have this parallel story where she also has this overbearing, controlling, toxic
Exactly.
parent who she felt has been wrecking her life, but she also looks at Peacemaker and knows that he has it worse. Like she's got some relationship with her mom, even if it is strained, but she's like, Peacemaker's dad is a bad guy. Like he needs to be out of the picture entirely. We have to get
Yeah.
Peacemaker away from him.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. Yeah, I liked her a lot when we first get introduced to her, and she's just like she is like stereotypical like first day on the job, like, hey everyone, my name is Adebayo, I do this, I do that, and she's cheery, she's happy, but she's like fumbling over what she needs to
Mm-hmm.
say and do, and is just a complete nervous wreck. It is just so charming, and so like it's funny to see her in positions like that. And man, they nailed it, and I liked her
Mm-hmm.
instantly. So
Yeah. And I
good
like
on them.
her. She comes to town to do this job. She's put up in some like apartment. Her and her wife and their three
Mhm.
small dogs, one of whom always wears a costume. And
Yeah,
after a while, she like sends her wife away, or just like, hey, this job's going to be longer, more complicated than I thought it was. Like, seems like her wife doesn't totally know what
a
she's
little
doing.
more
Like, maybe it's
dangerous.
not
Yeah,
good that you came with me. You should go back to Gotham City. And I really like the running subplot with her and her wife, Kia, and how like, there's a lot of tension there between like the long hours and the lack of communication. But Kia's fairly patient and understanding. Like, I was kept expecting that storyline to have more of an ultimatum on it,
right.
or like more of a real turning point. But it survives. Yeah, there's like a one. They get reunited at the end. Like, there's a
Yeah,
beautiful kiss.
yeah,
I like that she got to have that, to have this wife and have problems there, but have it be a strong enough relationship that they are able to positively work through all the problems that are there.
indeed. Uh, John Economos is
Yeah.
back in this too. He was the one that did the mocap for King Shark and
Mhm.
stuff in
Yeah.
Suicide Squad. He also still played the character that he plays in this show
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I liked him a lot. He is the kind, like, he's another one of those characters that's like, I've seen him. I've met people like him at my jobs, where he's the IT guy. He's maybe
Mm.
kind of a bit of a sad sack, but he's actually a really
Yeah.
nice guy.
Right.
Like, if you
Yeah.
get to know him, like, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Him with his
and yeah,
wolf
he's just
t-shirts, his three wolf
right.
moon t-shirts.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like he's a character that I think ultimately gets underserved in this season here, but he does have a really, really good moment in
Yes.
this show, revolving around his beard and whether or not he dyes it. That is kind of one of the running jokes that Peacemaker is just like, okay, dye beard. He's like, I don't dye my beard. And it turns out he does. But he's insecure about it. He was hoping it would make him seem more likable or cool or, you know, like attractive enough to get a date or something. And you find that out, and you're just like, oh, like this guy's sad and lonely. But yeah, he's a good, fun character too. So I enjoyed him a lot.
We've got Amelia Harcourt, who is the cool, tough lady. The second in command after Myrn, who was also part of overthrowing Amanda Waller in the Suicide Squad. And
she's
Peacemaker
like
is a
spy.
Yeah, Peacemaker is a crush on her. She doesn't like him, but eventually they come to a friendship by the end of the show that's nice. And it's her coming to friendship with everybody else in the show. Her dynamic with Leota Adebayo is also a very important part of it. And those two learning to understand each other as this girl who's gotten dragged into this life, never wanted any part of it, has to figure out how to just do the job and survive. And Amelia's just, has become second nature to her. Even if it was foreign to her once. Like Leota has to kill somebody. And Amelia is like commiserating with her about it. And she says, you know, the first time I had to kill somebody for the job, I was so stressed out, I didn't have my period for 3 months, which is something that I imagine would happen to you if you were in that much distress. And I'm happy that element of the situation got touched upon. And it was a really good detail of her story.
Yeah. She seems like the kind of character that has gotten, like, her job is now her life, in the way that her job has taken over so much that you don't really get to know much about her. But because she is so competent at her job, because she is, I think, by default, the hot, attractive one, right?
Yeah.
She is likable in that sense. That just like, oh, she seems cool. Like she's attractive. She can do all these flipping, backflip, kick stuff. She can fight. She can do all the gun stuff. Like that is the like Black Widow style character, the super spy. But yeah, she is more the like, don't let anyone in on my personal life. I'm gonna stay walled up. And I think, yeah, by the end of this show, she starts to open up some. There's still a lot that we don't know about her and about her insecurities or stuff like that. But she, like, you can see her start to be like, you know, I actually kind of like these people.
Yeah, she starts a group text.
Takes the picture of them as they're all being happy and rocking out. Great characters in this. Myrn is the next one. He's the leader of the group. Very much an Amanda Waller stand-in. And very cold, very strict, very much about the mission. And later we find out kind of why, is because he's also been taken over by one of these butterflies, one of these aliens. And a couple members of the team kind of knew and have been keeping it under wraps and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a great cast of characters in here. And I think that actor is going to be in a Marvel movie, right?
He's going to be in Guardians 3. I remember reading that James Gunn cast him here and was enjoying him so much, like really admired him. And he's going to be, I think, some sort of an antagonistic force in Guardians 3. So who knows? May see him show up as the High Evolutionary or somebody else.
Maybe. You never know.
Very good job. Yeah. And then we do also have Vigilante, who is
Cannot forget about
the
him.
kid the kid brother of one of the Peacemaker's like old childhood friends. Like, I guess this kid grew up like really admiring him, tagging along after him. He's created this whole like very serious superhero identity, and like he's got like a real costume and like real battle skills. But Peacemaker gets out of being in prison, being in the hospital. He goes home and he checks his phone, and it's like 200 voicemails from Vigilante. Kind of like the voicemails that Peter Parker leaves for Happy Hogan. Like, I'm here if you need me. Just checking in. Any crime you want to fight together?
Me again for the 87th time. Still haven't called me back. Still here. Still waiting, bro. Yeah, that's his character in this show, which is really interesting because that's not Vigilante in the comics. This is like the one character in the show outside of the cameos that I am somewhat familiar with in this show. And yeah, in the show, Adrian Chase is a DA. He's a district attorney. He's a political guy, but yes, he also moonlights as Vigilante, and he's in that kind of gray area where, yeah, he's maybe doing some good things every now and then, but goes about it in a bad way, and who is fine killing people and stuff like that. So to see him in this is just such a like different version that I was not expecting it. It took me aback at first. Man, he's one. I think the combination of Vigilante and Peacemaker is just chef's kiss. Mwah. Like, it's so good. It's so funny. They're terrible, but they're so good. They're funny. They hate each other, but they love each other. It's just God. It's
very entertaining.
Comedic gold.
I love Vigilante because he comes in one setting. He's like the same level of like eagerness and enthusiasm about everything. He's also a character who's like completely open, has no secrets, which Peacemaker is too, but he's like more guarded, like a little, like relatively more reserved. He has dark secrets. He has things he regrets, like killing Rick Flag, his family history and all this. Vigilante's just like, nope, I'm here. I've killed people. I'll kill people again, if the situation's right.
He's more of a sociopath than like he's more like he is a serial killer, right? In the sense that he has no emotion. He doesn't understand emotion exactly. He will laugh at things at the wrong time. He will try to do things because he like there's a scene where down the road Peacemaker has to kill his dad, and he does, and Vigilante tries to comfort him, but not because he feels sorry for him. Like, he's just no emotion whatsoever, but it's
he just
like,
knows he's supposed to do this.
That people do. Yes, I'm supposed to like get closer to you and pat you on the back. And so that's what he does. He gets closer to him and pats him on the back.
And says he's doing that. Like, he gives him a tender shoulder touch and says, tender shoulder touch.
Yeah. It's
I'm fulfilling
factual.
it. I'm fulfilling the activity of friend. I've checked that box.
Right. Yeah. Things are a checkbox. It's factual. So you are supposed to do this. Check. I did the tender shoulder touch. Like, but he doesn't understand the purpose or the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting take on the character, and I kind of really like it. It's fascinating. So
and I like and I like when Dada Bio comes to the realization of, we need to get Peacemaker's dad out of the picture. He's a very bad guy, and he's very bad for Peacemaker, for our friend Chris Smith, this man who's one of our teammates and is becoming one of our friends. And she talks to Vigilante about this. And this is like the closest he ever gets to sincere emotion, where he's, and like part of this is his fault that they've gotten into a sticky situation. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get myself thrown into the prison where Peacemaker's dad is. and I am going to kill him for the sake of the Peacemaker, because I don't want.
Right.
This is a man I care about, and as much as I care about anything, I want to see him live a better life. We have to get him out from under the shadow of his dad. And I love that what he does to get thrown in jail is that he just goes to the jail's like employee courtyard where like all the picnic tables are, and like all the guards go out there and like eat their lunch. And he picks up a trash can and like throws it through a window, walks right through him, just like destroys jail property, and is like, come at me, take me in.
Yeah. God, this show's comedy is spectacular. Just the odd situations that everyone is in, the odd mix of characters, the way they approach the situations. Just the stupid, like, this show is plagued, in the very best sense, is plagued by just useless tangents of conversation.
Yeah.
Of just like, all right, like, we need to focus on the mission, all of that stuff. Hey, did you hear about butt babies? Like, I hear that butt babies are, and they just go off on that. It's just like, what? And they have like a serious argument. Like, no, that wouldn't happen because this, and it's like, that is the show, and it's so funny.
Yeah. So often they will like stop a scene to have a conversation where one character's like, oh, I thought you said this. No, why would I say that? That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. Well, you know, if you look at it this way, it kind of makes sense. Like, it's this repeated formula over and over again. And like, I understand that
works.
could like wear on somebody's nerves sometimes, but I like that the show gives time to like that back and forth dialogue between these different combinations of characters. It reminds me a lot of one of my favorite bits in The Suicide Squad at the very beginning, when that like Team A is being sent to the beach and then they all get killed, but they're like flying there in the helicopter, and I think it's Blackguard looks over at Weasel and says, what kind of dog is this? And somebody yells at him like, it's Weasel, are you kidding me? It's not a dog. And Blackguard says very sincerely, dude, I don't know every kind of dog. How do I know this isn't a dog?
Have you seen every kind of dog out there? Like, it like, logically, makes sense, but it's just like, it's logical, but it is stripped away of all common sense. If that makes sense. Like, there's just none of that. So good. But I think you hit the nail on the head of why it still works and works continuously. Is it's always a different combination of characters. It's Peacemaker and someone else. It's Peacemaker and Vigilante with someone else, right? It's always a new situation. It's not just the same two characters going at it over and over again. I think the one that is in there the most is Peacemaker and Vigilante, just because of how close they are, right?
Or maybe one of them with Economos, who often has to like play the straight man against somebody else.
Right, yeah. So it manages to stay entertaining and fresh and stuff like that. I liked it a lot. But let's talk more about these aliens, these butterflies.
Before we do, there's one more person, one more important character on the good guys team, who is Eagly the Eagle. Just gotta give it up for Eagly. And this was a bit that was in the trailer where Eagly like wraps his wings around Peacemaker when he comes home and he hasn't seen him in years. He gives him a hug and Peacemaker's like, I can't believe an eagle's hugging me. Nobody's around to see this. I can't take a picture. And he like tells Adebayo about this, and she's like, that didn't happen. There's no way an eagle can hug a man. And his relationship with Eagly is sincere. Eagly, for as much as an eagle can display emotions, does seem to love Chris. You know, and like when Eagly is injured, like Chris like prays, like, I will do anything on earth to like save Eagly. When Eagly's better, he like hugs Chris again. And then Adebayo's out there watching this. She's like, oh my God, it's a miracle. What he said was true. An eagle can hold a man. And then like her wife calls her and she picks up the phone and she's like, Kia, you won't believe this. I'm seeing an eagle hug a man. And then Kia's like, really? Like she's also excited about this secondhand. And it was during a scene where you were expecting this tense phone call of, honey, why aren't you answering my phone calls? Where are you? How deep into this job are you? I need you to come home. We're in big trouble here. But instead she's like, an eagle hugged a man? Wow, honey.
So funny. So good. Yeah, Eagly is fantastic. Yeah, just lovable member of the team who I think you often forget about, but he's there.
Yeah.
Helping out.
He's there. Also, Peacemaker's voicemail outgoing message is, hey, you've reached Peacemaker. If you've got a message for me or Eagly, leave it after the tone.
Yep. Indeed. Well, let's talk about these aliens a little bit more. Because, I think, so from what I heard, one of the first scenes that they filmed in this show was the scene of John Cena in nothing but his tidy whities after this date with this random chick that he picked up.
Right.
And he puts a record on and just starts dancing around the room in nothing but his underwear, hanging into a hair brush, and is just living it up. Just one of the most fun scenes of the entire show. And apparently that was like one of the first things that they filmed. Like John Cena, just the first thing he has to do is strip and dance around. And he knocked that scene out of the park, but apparently James Gunn was like, when I filmed this scene, this is how I knew that John Cena was perfect for this role. That I made a good choice in casting him in the Suicide Squad. Because it just, God, I don't really consider John Cena a great actor. I know he's been in a number of things now. He's a certain flavor, right? That I think you have to get used to.
I've enjoyed him whenever I've seen him. There's something about him that's like very eloquent and like very precise, like very crisp.
Sure. Yeah, but man, watching this scene was just perfect. And this is also the same scene where we first discover the butterflies, and we kind of find out what they are. This woman starts like screaming and hissing at him and just goes completely rabid trying to kill him. And there's a big fight scene, small chase scene that happens out of that. But then, we eventually learn that there are these little, I don't know, like size of a bagel. I don't know.
Sure.
Alien, the size of a butterfly would probably be something that I should have said, but I went with bagel instead.
They're approximately a Starro size. The Starro that clamps on your face, about that tall.
Sure, yeah. I think what we eventually learn is that they are a race of aliens whose planet has basically gotten destroyed, and they're looking for a new home. They are searching the stars, and they come across Earth, and the like natural food and stuff there they can't really sustain themselves on, but the atmosphere and just the potential that humans have, they know they could take them over and help them too. So that is kind of the mission of the aliens, is to come to Earth so they can survive, but then also to help humans have better technology and government and this and that, just improve everyone's lives. Unfortunately, the way to do that is basically by killing them, by taking them over, and stuff like that. So that, you know, there's not much that can really be helped with that. So humans not taken too kindly to getting taken over by aliens. But we see one alien in particular kind of end up being the queen of them, like later, and they end up capturing it, and for a while John Cena's like feeding it on this like honey-like substance that they all feed on, and it ends up
they figure out that it is intelligent, it can communicate, and Peacemaker's like, okay, 1 tap for yes, 2 taps for no. And him and Vigilante are there. We're like, we're gonna learn about this. We're gonna ask it a series of yes or no questions. And Vigilante says, what's your favorite color? And Peacemaker's like, we do not need to know this. How are they gonna answer with a yes or no question? And he's like, okay, make it a yes or no question. Is your favorite color teal? Yes or no?
Great.
We're going to work through all the colors, but I'm starting
useless.
with teal.
Waste of time. It's great.
Yeah.
Not like, why are you on Earth here? Like,
no,
if you had asked that, that's at least understandable, right? Like, dude, like, I see what you're getting at, but it's not a yes or no question, right? Or just the fact that when Vigilante, when Peacemaker is asking questions, he's asking them in relation to movies that he's seen here. Like, are you trying to take over the world like the aliens in Independence Day or in this movie? And like, once he runs out, which he does very fast, he's like, crap, what other movies have aliens in them? And he's just stuck. Like, I don't know what else to ask it. So yeah, but that one ends up escaping and taking over the main detective that is on the show, which I liked her a lot too.
I really enjoyed her
taking over.
Great performance. I hope I get to see that actress again. But yeah, throughout the series, towards the beginning, we see these 2 detectives. It's Detective Sophie Song and whatever her partner's name is. And they're like investigating, who killed this woman in this parking lot. They bring in Peacemaker's dad and they realize it's not him. He should be in jail, but like they can't get him for this actual crime. They have to go arrest Peacemaker. So we check in with them frequently. And they've got this banter where like one of them will make a joke and the other one will just like they're continually exasperated with each other. And like Chris's dad will like say something terrible, and then the partner will try and like throw an insult back at him, but it doesn't make sense. And she's like, "Why would you say that? Why wouldn't you say this?" Like they seem very exasperated with each other. But then once this butterfly takes over her body and like is going to take over everybody else's bodies, like call all of its butterfly brethren and take over like every person in this jail. The butterfly, like in Detective Song's body, turns and looks at her partner and says, I can sense that she really did care for you. It's a surprisingly emotional moment. I was very happy that these minor characters got to have that little bit of an emotional storyline. It seems like they don't get along, but secretly they really do value each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in the same way that we kind of mentioned that the show takes a character like Peacemaker who's, maybe abrasive and you might not like him, right, all that much. And then by the end of the show, turns him into someone who, despite you maybe not liking him all that much, he's an interesting character and you want to follow him and see what happens next. I think it does the same thing with the antagonists of this show here, because, alien invasion, hell no, get the fuck out. Like, we're just going to start murdering all of you guys. But then uh when they find out that, like, all right, the best way to kill them all is to kill their food supply. They only have a
Yeah.
specific thing that they can eat, and um they track it down to what they call a cow.
Yeah.
And they do the joke of holy cow, and they're like, exactly. um but if the plan is then to destroy this cow, which is the food source, to get the aliens off of their planet. If they have no food source, then they're just gonna
Hmm.
die off. Hopefully they'll just go somewhere else. But then once they introduce all of that, that's when they start to introduce, like, well, no, they're not planning an invasion. Like, they're on the run. They need help. Like,
Hmm.
this is like they're desperate for stuff. They're trying to do a good thing. They want to survive. Yes, but they see, like, hey, we also have the, like, technological know-how to help Earth and help
Hmm.
humans, and so they're trying to do this good thing, which, like I mentioned before, to take over a human, you still kill them. So it's
Yeah.
right. They haven't really thought that all the way through, but it does a good job of at least giving you pause of, like, oh,
Hmm.
it is there a, like, do we need to destroy this cow? Is there another way to do this? Like, is
Yeah.
there some kind of understanding we can come to so that you guys do just leave on your own here? Which
Hmm.
wouldn't make for a great finale where you expect a big fight and stuff like that. But right, like, it gives you a sense of pause of just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, interesting.
Yeah. I like that final confrontation a lot. That this is the butterfly that Peacemaker was keeping in a jar and feeding
Yeah,
honey, and the butterfly in Detective Song's body is like, I got a sense of who you are. I think you are a good soul in there, that you want to help people, you want to bring about peace. This is how we do it. In order to get the humans to behave, we have to, like, go inside the heads of their leaders and control them and, like, kill them. And they're just like a meat suit that our butterflies walk around in, and we make the important political decisions so that the world has a
yeah,
future. And it's you're wondering if he is going to side with them. Like, they have appealed to his code. Their actions might lead to the greatest amount of peace for the greatest amount of people, but he
right.
ends up killing Detective Song's body in a way that the butterfly, like, can still escape. Like, the butterfly flies back to him at the end, and he gives it, like, the last bit of honey that he has. Bio and Adebayo asks him about it. He's like, I knew that if I followed them, they would hurt you guys. They would hurt his teammates as part of their mission to keep this secret, even if they spared him so that he could help them. He's like, I don't want that for you. He's like, I will not let my friends be hurt, which might not have been something he said in the Suicide Squad. This is the first time he's
Right,
had friends that have meant that much to him, where he is
right.
willing to bend and break his code to serve his interpersonal friendships.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Yeah. He is starting to change, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if in further seasons of this show that's the kind of plan, is like, by the end of the show he is now a hero and he's worked off his sentence and he is truly fighting for good and he understands, right,
Mm.
the stuff that he did wrong in his I don't know if that's the plan. I don't think that would, like, it's one of those things. I think the show needs to go a certain ways down that path, right?
Uh-huh.
Just as a character journey, but I don't know if reaching the end of that path is the satisfying conclusion that
Mhm.
we would ultimately want from a character like this, from a show like this there. um but this is it. I will say that the show gives me hope because a while back they also announced a Green Lantern
Yeah.
show, and if I'm not mistaken, they said the show would focus on Guy Gardner, who
Mhm.
is a long story short, when Hal Jordan got the
Uh-huh.
power ring, that ring was actually meant for Guy
Oh.
Gardner. But he ended up getting hurt or something, and so the ring recognized that, and Hal Jordan was the second choice, so it went to him instead. But Guy Gardner, what a fucking douchebag, man. Like he is like your typical like womanizing, misogynistic bro of that, and
Mhm.
everyone just hates him. And so when they announced that the show would largely be centered around him, I was like, I I don't want to watch that. Like I
Mhm.
that's a character that I really don't like. And here we are in a show where I watched the Suicide Squad and left that being like, I don't like Peacemaker. Like he's not a good character. I don't want to follow him for an entire show. But then instantly, this show was like, actually, we can make you care about him. Like we know
Mhm.
how to do that, and did it effectively. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
it
think there
gives me
is
hope for more DC projects down the road.
Yeah. I think there's value in looking at a very flawed, problematic character and finding
Sure.
out why are they like this. Is there something toxic in their surroundings that has kind of bent them this way? If we affect their surroundings, how does that affect them? I think there's value in a story of somebody learning that they need to improve themselves and figuring out how they can do that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, but yeah, and then I think just to get back to the aliens here, to be clear, Myrn, who also
Yeah,
was
yeah.
taken over by one of these butterflies, uh, the one that attached itself to him is he like that one recognizes the harm that the
Yes.
butterflies are causing and is working against them. So it's not a like oh my god, halfway in the season their leader got taken out and is now a bad guy and does all this stuff. No, he was a butterfly from the start, there are, as far as we
Mhm.
know, but it has been working against the rest of the butterflies there. So there is a distinction between that one and the rest of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then when the other butterflies realize that they have to take him out, that he is against their main mission, when the team finds like this little butterfly, like crunched up butterfly crawling out of like the
yeah,
Mern corpse's mouth, and Amelia Harcourt just like holds it and like they like touch hands. She touches her finger to this tiny butterfly hand. Very sad, very touching
yeah,
moment.
it really is. Like that is I think another character that got underserved. Not Mern, but
Mhm.
that butterfly that was in like I
Yeah.
that beat was, yeah, especially emotional, and now I kind of wished I'd known him better. And like,
Hmm.
what is your story here? Tell me more of that. Are
And
there
the
more
butterflies,
like you?
yeah, the butterflies are,
Do you have a
they don't
wife, kids?
know human emotions. When they pilot a human, they're very sort of stoic and cold. And they have, like, we see a butterfly take over, like, one of the local police chiefs, and like somebody has been killed, and this is like a post-credit scene of that butterfly and that man being like, okay, you have to act sad, and he's making these like cartoonish exaggerated cries. But there's a conversation early on between John and Myrn and Economos, where Myrn's talking about how like he never expresses emotions, like he doesn't do it, but he is learning a little bit how to do it better. And he mentions that it's kind of chilly outside. And he's like, there, I just expressed an emotion to a teammate. I've never done that before. Economos is like, the emotion you expressed was chilly?
Yeah.
You're cold? That's it?
That's funny. Yeah. Good
I
stuff.
also want to
I like
mention
it.
Judo Master.
Yeah,
And now even Judo Master has like an emotional beat to his story where we learn that he is on the inside with the butterflies. He is not one of them. But like he knows their plan and he's there to defend them and keep anybody from like finding out their secrets. And like they're fighting Judo Master and Judo Master gets injured and they take him back to their lair. So, you know, to their secret headquarters so that they can like watch over him and make sure he doesn't like get back to the butterflies, and then he escapes. And I really like the scene where there's just like two guys showing up at the gas station and they like turn a corner around that case of propane tanks and there's Judo Master sitting there eating a bag of flaming hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
Which he eats constantly. And I really like MT's theory about this on the new Rockstars videos where he's like, Judo Master does not want a butterfly in them, so he wears a costume with like no butt access, so no butterfly can crawl up his butt. And he constantly eats spicy snacks so that they don't want to crawl in his mouth. He's making himself immune to butterflies through flaming hot Cheetos.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, at the very end of the series, when like all of these butterflies, you know, all their human bodies have been destroyed, Judo Master walks out there and he cries. Like even if they weren't like friends, it seems like these are the people he's been surrounded with for years. Does he know anybody else? Like that's been his whole life, his whole purpose for a while.
Yeah, that or he
Single
just
tear
bought in
from Judo Master
into this idea of like, hey, Earth could be a lot better. Like we could stop, you know, all sorts of stuff. We could save the environment. We could have better governments that actually care about its people and stuff like that. He just sees this as a lost opportunity to do stuff like that. I don't know, but yeah.
What will become of Judo Master? He's still out there.
He is still out there wandering around. He was like I feel like his character though was like didn't need to be Judo Master, if that makes sense. Like it could have been anyone, kind of kind of random villain. That was the only thing that I didn't necessarily care for. Like I liked him. I liked his character. Would have been nice to see more of him and get that story of like why he sided with them, because it just kind of seemed random. They picked someone for the memes, right? Like let's just get someone who's really short and can like actually has fighting skills, as opposed to Peacemaker who's just really big and muscly and right and so it's just like let's go with I don't know, Judo Master. There you go.
Yeah. There are a lot of interesting appearances of other DC characters. I like whenever Chris goes to see his dad's got this neighbor, this old man who's always out there clipping his hedges or whatever.
The best he confronts Peacemaker in the show.
He says, "Do you have a coterie of supervillains? If you're a real hero, you would have a coterie of supervillains."
He's just this crotchety old neighbor that just is like secretly interested in Peacemaker and his father, knowing that they have been involved in superheroics and super villainy stuff, and it just has questions. Just like, have you met Batman? Have you met, like, what's he like? What is that? Do you have what did you say, a coterie of villains?
A coterie of supervillains. And then when Peacemaker he's talking to the kids, one of them also asks, do you have a coterie of supervillains?
It's like that, but like Peacemaker has, you can tell he's had to deal with that so much. Just every opportunity that guy gets will ask something. And whether he's coming or going, Peacemaker knows if he is seen by that one guy, he will have to like answer something. So he just hates it. He's annoyed. He's just like, oh, the stupid old man again. But it's so funny. So good.
hope he comes back.
I hope. I mean, he's in. We're about an hour into recording now. We haven't even once mentioned the opening credits, but he's in that opening credits. Which
everybody's in there.
They are, but some of those characters are now dead. So are we gonna get a different song and dance in season 2?
I hope so.
I think we are, but I guess my point is that despite him being such a small side character, that old man is also in the song and dance for a small bit there. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Truly valued. Yeah, we've got canon mentions of characters that I only know by name. I really do not know DC Comics well, but we get like Batmite and Kite Man.
Kite Man, hell yeah!
All this stuff is made real. Yeah, I'm curious because the DC universe is not less canonical, but it allows itself to have multiple separate canons happening at once. And I am curious if anything that we've seen happen here will have any impact on any future DC title. I don't know what would be in this timeline taking place after this. If like there's some news blurb in the background of the Flash where it mentions like Senator Goff has died of unknown circumstances. Who knows?
I hope so. I hope some of the like larger strokes of just like, hey, the existence of new alien species are out there. Yeah, like you mentioned, Senator Goff has passed away or stuff like. I hope they're just like a fish fucking joke, which they probably won't say in the mainstream stuff. But like if you can tell that they're about to start saying it, and then Aquaman like shuts them up, like don't say it, right? Like I think something like that would be funny to put in there. I like. It's really interesting to see how the Marvel Universe kind of got started with Jon Favreau kind of passing the torch to Joss Whedon, who built out the kind of Avengers, that like real funny formula, the quipping, like all that stuff, to then see that get passed on to God, why am I blanking on their names right now? The
Russo brothers.
Yeah, to get passed on to them where they do more of the like action and political intrigue and all of that stuff. To see that the DC universe has kind of really floundered around with that and hasn't really. I mean, they tried to bring Jeff Johns on to be a kind of a unifying factor, and that didn't even really seem to work all that much. But it seems like James Gunn may have been the one to crack that. And if they can use just like some of the groundwork that he has made for the types of comedy, the types of action, the types of character arc and stuff like that we get, if they can use that as the groundwork to build out their stuff, I think, I mean, I forgot to mention Zack Snyder, but that also didn't really work out all that much. But
yeah, like all his stuff has a consistent creative voice, but it's a consistent creative voice that has not worked on most audience members.
Yeah. So I just, yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hoping to see them work more with that and use James Gunn's work as a launch pad to put sprinkle some Easter eggs, stuff like that. So we hear mention of Green Arrow, we hear mention of the Flash and Superman and Batman. We see the Flash and Aquaman in this, and then we see a stand-in for Superman and Wonder Woman there. which we don't really see their faces, but you at least do see Aquaman
you know the silhouette
and the Flash.
Yeah.
And it's them. Yeah. Which, by the way, that scene was hilarious. That scene was great.
A very pleasant surprise at the end of this, that they got 2 real Justice League members at the end of the story. The joke about Green Arrow is that he goes to brony conventions dressed as the back half of Twilight Sparkle with a 4-inch butthole in the back of the costume. But what I like about this joke is that then Vigilante says, oh yeah, so he can breathe more easily. Bigger butthole, easier to breathe in the back of a horse costume. Yeah, I understand.
God, it's so dumb. Apparently, I didn't see what he had to say, but apparently Stephen Amell, who's played Green Arrow, commented on that. Somehow, who knows what he's
not a Twilight Sparkle fan. He's an Applejack fan. We all know this.
Well, it may have been something like that. It may have been something about challenging John Cena to a wrestling. I don't know. Stephen Amell is a big wrestling fan and has been in some stuff, and he's now on a wrestling show, like a show about wrestling, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So there may have just been some smack talk with that. But yeah, even the show and tell thing at school, like, have you met Wonder Woman? He goes, yeah, I saw her at a party one time, and she was effing me the entire time from across the room, and they're just like, whoa, okay, dude. He's like, what? I said effing. So yeah. Lots of good jokes, but one last thing I do want to say about the Justice League showing up at the end there. I'm so glad that they showed up in this. This was one of my biggest pet peeves of the very first Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It was a world-ending event, and none of them showed up. Superman wasn't there to help save the world. Wonder Woman wasn't there. Flash never showed up. That's like, the Suicide Squad is difficult to write for, in my opinion, because they're most effectively used as a team that takes on missions that the Justice League never would, which would be killing people, toppling governments, doing assassinations. They have to be stealthy, make sure they're not there, right? So it's never supposed to really be a world-ending threat. If it was, the Justice League would be there.
Yeah.
And so the fact that this is, an alien invasion, and eventually the Justice League got word of this, right? And they showed up, but they showed up late. And that is what Peacemaker says. He's like, well, it's about time you fuckers showed up. Like, goddamn. and I was like, yes, like, this is redemption. This is fans service. It's a good joke. Like, they nailed it. It was spectacular. So, I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I want to mention you mentioned the John Cena dancing sequence, which is beautiful. We talked, like, the week this came out, we mentioned it a little bit on the Captain's Log, and I was talking about how I'd love to see this very muscular, very powerful body being used for joyful dance. And I really love the scene where he plays the piano. He's going through a lot of emotions, and he sits down and he plays, I think, like a Motley Crue instrumental song on the piano. And again, it's a moment of, like, watching this body built for action do something that isn't action. Like, do something that's more of like an emotional expression that requires like a different sort of finesse and not strength. And then I learned that there was John Cena fully playing the piano. He's like a trained pianist. So good on John Cena, multi-talented. Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff.
It's a beautiful scene. I was happy to see that side of the character and of the performer.
Now, has this been confirmed for season 2 yet?
I saw that
I think it
in a video and like the new Rockstars
has.
breakdown of the final episode they mentioned, and it's already been picked up for season 2.
Okay, cool. So my next question is then, what do you want to see in season 2?
Well, season 1 ends with Peacemaker. He killed his dad, and then his dad's spirit appears to haunt him. You know, maybe not a literal ghost, but a ghost of his mind. And he kills the ghost, trying to get it to shut up. And then the final scene is Peacemaker sitting out there on his porch. Yeah, and then his dad like walks up and just sits quietly beside him, doesn't say a word, which says he's still there. He's going to be haunting his son, but at least he's gotten to the point now where Peacemaker is enough strength over him that he doesn't say anything. Like he does not. Sure. His dad lingers over him, but he's not this force like screaming in his ear anymore. Yeah, and so I'd like to see over the course of season 2. You know, it's an unpleasant character, but I did really enjoy Robert Patrick's performance. I think he's very well cast to play John Cena's dad. Yeah. I'd like to see him continue to show up, and hopefully by the end of that season, maybe he is vanquished. You know, like we get the last of that spirit away from haunting Chris, and Chris comes to terms with this terrible relationship with his dad, and the tragedy that happened with his brother. Maybe he goes in search of a mother figure that he hopes may give him some sort of positive mentorship in his life.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned that I thought Economos was an underserved character. I do want to see a bit more of him as we continue to learn more about these characters, stuff like that. I want to see how Amanda Waller might factor into season 2 now that the secret's out that her daughter is on the team. We did Aliens. I'd be interested in seeing them go to the like dark magic side of DC and seeing someone like Peacemaker having to deal with that. And I think that would be like, yeah, just more like dark magic, supernatural, something like that. Or alternatively, I would kind of like to see them go back to that prison that we saw in this Suicide Squad. I think that was Belgrave.
Bring back some of those characters we saw briefly. Bring in Calendar Man.
Yeah, so stuff like
Let's
that
get
would
Sean
be
in
interesting,
here.
but in a way that they get like I kind of want to have to see them infiltrate it for something. Right? Like that is like this is in a weird way an extension of the Suicide Squad. Like this is a Suicide Squad show, but it focuses just on one character. Because again, he is still working off his sentence. That was the whole thing of like, dude, you've barely put a dent into this thing, so this is your next job, right? So I want to see more stuff like that where he is on to the next job to keep working off his sentence. But yeah, I want to see them in situations again, like the Justice League isn't going to be showing up here. So to have someone infiltrate a prison and collect info on some kind of crime ring or something like that, I think would be really interesting. Or yeah, there's a Batman villain that we have in jail, but we're trying to like discover some conspiracy or something that he's not talking about, but we know he has info. So we need someone to infiltrate the prison and get on his good side and do all that, just to see that like the interaction with more of, because I mean he was in that prison for a while, it seems like, so he has relationships with characters in there, good or bad, with that. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of like what else could they explore. in the DC universe.
Yeah, this setting we've been in, it wasn't anything familiar to me. Maybe we could take this team and take them to Gotham or to Metropolis or Central City or like one of the recognized cities of the DC lore and see what they can get up to there.
Absolutely. I know since this is on HBO Max, I would kind of like to see some like Teen Titans or Doom Patrol references or Easter eggs.
Yeah.
I know those are technically like not in the same universe, but just a tip of the hat would be nice.
Feel like,
right?
Do you hear about this one lady who melts? Her body just turns into a big puddle. She's out here fighting crime too.
Yeah, if she can do it, you can, right?
Good
stuff. So there you go. Peacemaker season 1, HBO Max, fantastic. I loved it a lot.
Great time.
I thought
really
this was
fun.
solid.
Yeah, surprise! The great production values, shot well, good, excellent use of music as always from James Gunn. I like that this had like a very limited palette of this like 80s hair metal that they were dealing with, but they managed to get a lot out of this one specific genre.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Liked all these characters. Truly hope to see them again and hope they branch out of Peacemaker season 2. Like, I hope Leota Adebayo is in something else in the DC universe.
Sure. Yeah. Or at least gets like name dropped.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. Well, there you go. I think that's all I kind of have to say on Peacemaker. So good stuff. Go check it out. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, show where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Springer on Twitter. If you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I know coming up down the road here, we got the Obi-Wan show, we got Moon Knight, we got all that stuff.
The Batman in 2 short weeks.
Yeah, we'll be doing stuff on all of that. I am going to be in the process of moving.
Yes.
Kind of at the end of March, which is right when Moon Knight starts. So it might be a little wonky for when we get our reactions up. I'm not sure exactly, but we will try our best to get that stuff out in a timely fashion. But yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, yeah, I think that about wraps us up for this. So thanks for checking it out, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.